Hey, this is Mike from the Graphic Novel Show. Are you interested in starting and running your own podcast? Well, you know, this is the second one that we've done. We used to do a different one, and we decided to start this one. And last time we used Anchor, and you know what? We decided to go back with Anchor again because they are the easiest way to make a podcast. They give you everything you need in one place for free. You can do it right from your phone or on your computer. Anchor gives you creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast so it sounds great. You can do that right from your phone. That's quite amazing. They'll also distribute your podcast for you so it can be heard everywhere, like Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and many more. You can easily make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. Now, what you need to do is go download the Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started.
Hi, I'm Parker.
And I'm Mike. And this is the Graphic Novel Podcast.
Welcome to our new podcast on the art of the graphic novel. Mike is the author of 10 books and produced Comics TV, which was a weekly TV show on comics for 7 years back in the 90s.
Back in the olden days. Together, we produced Northwest Brew Talk about the beer industry in the Northwest for 2 years. Now we're back, and this show is all about graphic novels.
Thanks for listening and joining us for our week's late podcast. I'm Parker.
And I'm Mike.
And I'm very sick.
Yeah, you're better than
I'm
you
better.
were.
I'm feeling like I'm at like 75%.
Oh,
no,
I thought you were higher than
I'm
that.
50. Okay, I'm
50
I'm
now? You're at 55%.
50% better than I was yesterday.
Oh, okay. And yesterday,
Yesterday,
you were at 10%?
yesterday I was feeling pretty good.
Yeah, I thought
It's
so too.
definitely come on, but like when we were supposed to do this recording, I was.
Oh no,
no
you're
way.
bad.
Like I could not.
And I've had a cough for a month, and it won't go away. But I went to the doctor, and I'm not sick, so I'm not sure what it is. They claim it's allergies. I'm probably dying, and they don't know it.
Stop! You had an X-ray.
Yeah, of my brain.
Your brain is right. Your brain is the problem. You think you're
probably
fucking
is.
dying when you get a cold.
Yeah, well, that's what happens when you have cancer. Anyhow,
When you had cancer.
when I had cancer, and because of that,
Yeah.
that's why.
I know.
Anyhow,
Thanks for listening.
yeah, definitely. Thanks for listening.
We're so sorry that we're a week late.
Yes, we do.
But I was sick.
We there was no way we could do it. Parker was hacking and couldn't breathe and was really.
I mean, I still sound
I do too.
gross.
But I've if you guys have caught some of my hacks over the past month, I mean,
I think you
It's
did
tough.
a pretty good job editing them out.
mostly.
Unless
But,
I had very important things to say, and then you just let yourself cough in the background.
Yeah, well, yeah. A couple quick things before we start the show. We have a Patreon. It is live.
Woo, woo.
And I think last episode, I said I didn't think it was, but I checked and it was. Patreon.com/graphic novel podcast. We have one
As much or as little as you feel.
yeah, we have one bonus episode up, and we actually have another one that we might use too.
That was a fun episode. I like
It
doing
was.
that with you.
We'll probably do that again too. It's kind of like Ask Me Anything, kind of like that. So, November 9th, short run comics and comic show in Seattle. November 9th. That's going to be great. We're going to be there probably all day for that.
I can't wait.
Yeah. We're going to have the kids with us, so I don't know if we're going to be there all day, but
We will. We'll just bring like tablets and
food.
Yes, snacks. Like fill their little backpacks full of snacks.
Yeah, so that should be good.
It will be
And-
fun. I can't wait. We're gonna meet so many cool people and have. I mean, I'm not,
Including today's.
It's always
today's
surprising to me
creator.
when I'm excited. Like the difference between what I feel is excitement and what excitement actually is probably really like I don't really enjoy large crowds and
No, right.
meeting new people and trying to make conversation with people, but it feels like it should be exciting.
Well, when I did
Does that make sense?
when I did comics TV in the 90s, I went into every interview. I did, I don't know, more than 100 interviews, probably a couple hundred interviews. And
did you air all of them?
yes, there was probably something that we didn't air, but
I obviously have not watched all of your episodes.
I've got 18 DVDs, so there's a lot of stuff on there. But anyhow, the point is, even people that were well known, I just pretended they were people and just talked to them. I rarely ever got autographs or anything. It was
See, I'm so ignorant. Like, I probably wouldn't know how well known people were. Like, to me, one of my favorite artists is Tatiana Gill from Seattle, and she's like a big deal to me, and I would be really excited. I couldn't even probably speak to her, but she's not like some mega mega star or anything. But she's in my mind, she's like this celebrity, and
yeah, I know
but I probably couldn't get up the courage to talk to her. That's what makes doing media things kind of difficult.
Yeah, I know.
I count on you for that, Mike.
I'll end up talking to people.
And I'll just sit over there going, "Oh my god, it's so and so."
Right, exactly. The other thing that we talked about this briefly before. Sales of graphic novels. We talked about youth YA books.
Yeah.
And the sale of graphic novels is going to surpass comic book store sales through bookstores. And a lot of it has to do with YA and scholastic book fairs and other things like that, where kids are getting them directly. They're not going to comic book stores.
And it's so funny because, like, I remember our oldest coming home with a note from school and saying, like, graphic novel is still reading, like, encourage your kids to read, even if you think it's not real reading because it's graphic novels. It's real reading. It's what gets them into reading. So please encourage reading of any kind.
Somebody had to write that. Somebody had to write that story.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
I know, like, it goes quicker than it would be, like, it's not Harry Potter with 500 pages or whatever.
That's because the pictures are there. You don't have to describe them. They're in front of you.
Right. But I don't know. I don't even know how to explain it, but G has gotten really into graphic. They just brought home a bunch of graphic novels about
Minecraft.
And it's like, that's fabulous, but I think that they don't think that counts because the only homework that they have, which is awesome and I'm really happy about, is that they have to read 20 minutes a night. And so I don't think that they think that reading graphic novels counts because they enjoy it so much. And they're like, the reading level is far above where their grade level is. And so I think that they feel a little bit like they're cheating.
Which is fine.
But we have a podcast about graphic novels. Like, adults enjoy this.
Yeah. Adults and adults read the YA ones too.
We've read a couple YA ones, haven't we? Or am I?
I don't know if we've read them. I have several. One of them is in my bag to read, Sheets. That's one of them. We're going to be reading that.
Is the one we're reading Laura, is that one? YA?
Laura Dean.
What about Heartstopper? Is that YA?
I don't know if they're YA. They might be. I don't know if they're considered YA, but she's really revealing her third cover this week. So
I missed that.
Looking forward to that.
I am
it's not out yet, but
you are so much better about Twitter than I am.
Yeah,
I'm not that good on Twitter.
When the politics stuff pops up, it's hard for me to not
stay
read
quiet.
it, and then I have to let go. Nope, I can't.
Let's see. How many times have you gotten kicked off of Twitter now?
Twice. I've lost.
Only twice? Oh, I thought we were up to like 4 or 5.
Oh no, I've got 4. We've had 4 total or 5 total accounts, but I've lost 2 of them.
Yeah.
Forever.
Yeah, forever.
Okay.
You didn't say anything too terrible either. It was kind of surprising that you.
Yeah, I wasn't the nicest. Anyhow.
But you weren't nice.
They were not. They were Republican snowflakes. They just couldn't handle it. So, anyhow, all right. What's today's book, Parker?
Today's book is this week's book. This 2 weeks. I'm so sorry. I feel really guilty that we didn't release an episode, but I was sick. Okay, in case you didn't get it, I was sick. I'll probably say it over and over again. Anyway, this week's episode is we read "I Was There, American Dream" by Malaka Gharib.
That's right. And I first heard about this when I was listening to NPR.
Yeah, we've had this book for a while. Didn't you buy this for me for a gift?
It was a gift. It
This was a
might have
gift,
been. It was earlier this year.
I feel like, I mean, I don't, when I look at her author picture, this is kind of silly. I look at her author picture and she looks nothing like me, but her drawing looks like me as a kid. Have you seen photos of me when I was,
Yeah.
I want to say like 10, 11.
Yeah.
I looked at the haircut is very similar. Like
I have to
the
say
poofy, frizzy, because I didn't know what to do with my curls at the time. And
I have to say she doesn't give herself enough credit. She's much more attractive than she draws herself.
Well, I mean, she's a kid, so you're not supposed to be attracted to children.
I'm not attracted to
but she
children.
her face doesn't really, I mean, her drawing doesn't really change of herself as an adult either, because she does draw herself when she's, I mean, yeah, no, it doesn't change, but I think that's just her style.
Yeah,
you know, it's just her style. So that's cool. But yeah, yeah. So I definitely
give the background on the book or her, whichever
you
one
want
we're gonna do.
The book first? Okay, I'll do the background on her. It's a quick thing, and then you can do the synopsis, that thing. Malaka Gharib is an artist and a journalist at National Public Radio. She is the founder of the Runcible Spoon, right? Runcible?
Yeah, I think that's what it was.
Food zine, and the co-founder of the DC Art Book Fair. She lives in a row house in Washington, D.C. with her husband, Darren, and her 9-year-old rice cooker. We talked about that. That is impressive. Like, I would totally put that in my bio. If I had a small appliance that I used, I assume, based on what I've read, she uses
weekly, if not more than that.
Right. Probably close to daily, honestly, based on her, again, based on her writing. 9 years is a long time for a rice cooker to last. Yeah. I wonder, like, I want to email her and find out, like, what brand it is.
We're going to see her.
That's right. She's going to be there.
That's right.
That's right.
So maybe you can ask her. You should write that down. Well, this,
or you can ask her, because
this book had a lot of different subjects that it tackled.
Well, it's a memoir.
It is, but there's like traditions.
Mm-hmm.
There's family, divorce.
Yeah.
Food.
Lots of food.
Culture.
Lots of culture.
And being different. And there's probably some other things that I'll remember. But, I mean, being different was a big thing. Considering she lived in Cerritos, California, and she went to a school where almost everybody was, I don't think there were only a couple white people that went to the school.
She doesn't say if there's any white kids, but I can't imagine a school with no white kids, But yeah.
Everybody was from a different background.
Yeah.
And she still thought that she was different than all of them. And there's reasons.
Because she was different than all of them. She didn't fit into any of those molds.
So she did this in May of this year. She did this interview with David Green at NPR. And she was born and raised in California. Her mother immigrated from the Philippines, and her dad came from Egypt. And what happened was, her dad wanted to come to America. That was his thing. He wanted to come to America and live the American dream.
Right.
Her mother was upper middle class in the Philippines. She didn't have any reason to come to America. But then war started and uprisings and all
and suddenly things. She really had a reason.
But she still didn't want to go.
No, she didn't want to.
Her family forced her to leave.
Yeah.
And eventually all of her family moved over one at a time. They all moved over here.
Yeah.
And
what a story.
And they met each other. He was her boss, and they met and became, they fell in love and got married. The problem was it didn't last, because I think her father wanted something that her mother didn't want. And he ended up...
They were just incompatible.
Yeah. I mean, he was Egyptian, Muslim. She was Filipino, Catholic.
Yeah.
I mean, they were completely opposite. And it didn't work.
I mean, I feel like those things can work if you aren't like holding on to your traditional culture. You know what I mean? Like,
but they
both of them, yes, both of them were so
yes, their cultures were important to them.
Absolutely. Which is why it's surprising to me that I guess it's just lust.
love.
They were just in that
love.
They
They fell in love.
They fell in love. I'm not going to
And he was her boss,
that.
so that was probably illegal too.
Certainly not illegal, but unethical. Yeah.
Unethical. Okay, unethical.
Why do you do that?
Okay, you're right. Unethical.
You still made the eye movement. I wish
there's no eye movement.
There's eye movement.
Eye movement's not here. Anyhow, so what happens is her parents get divorced.
Yes.
Her father, not long after, he ends up moving back to Egypt. Malaka thinks that he's going to come back, but he never does. Is
that like that typical thing that like
maybe he thought he might, but he ended up getting a good job and he ended up staying there. And
maybe she thought that because not necessarily that she wanted her parents to get back together, but that she assumed like he wanted to be, he had that American dream. He was like, I'm going to America. And,
exactly.
And he ended up going back and, living a decent life there, it sounds like, but not the American dream that he had hoped for.
And the reason that being different, and she was called the weirdo at school and stuff. She was weird because she was Egyptian.
Did they call her weirdo?
She was Egyptian Filipino American.
Right.
Everybody else was Egyptian American, Filipino American.
Well, because a lot of times in those cultures, you were supposed to marry the same, within your culture. So it probably wasn't that common. I mean, it definitely wasn't according to, in her community, but I would imagine in general, in that generation, it just wasn't that common to marry outside of your culture.
Yeah, probably.
And especially another immigrant, like they probably had more, white people marrying,
Right. And that was the thing at school. What they would say is somebody'd say, "What are you?"
Oh, God.
What are you? And to her, that meant, well, I'm Egyptian American or Egyptian Filipino. And they're like, "Oh, well, you're not Filipino, so you can't hang out with the Filipinos."
Oh, you're Egyptian Filipino.
Yeah,
so
you can't hang out with the
count.
Egyptians, or you can't hang out with the Puerto Ricans, or you can't hang out with the Mexicans, or you can't hang out with the white kids because you don't fit with any of the groups.
Because her whole life was like she spent whole summers in Egypt, so her whole life was this.
We didn't
mishing,
get to that yet.
Oh, sorry. This mixing of cultures that she had to try and balance. And I feel like, I mean, obviously we don't know her parents. We don't know how they tried to do it, but she tried to, on her own, essentially, have these two different lives and still hold them within herself. And it's like this compartmentalizing that just, like as a child, you should never be expected to. But she had this, I am this and I am this, and so I don't fit in with you. And because she didn't feel all those, because she had these other things, she didn't feel completely Filipino because she had, like the pork thing. She didn't eat pork.
When she was and in Egypt they don't eat pork. So for her, like when she was at home with her family, the Filipino side, they would eat pork and rice, and that was not a big deal. So sometimes like her mother would bring pork out and she's like, in her head, she's like, oh, wait, I can't eat pork. I'm a Muslim. Oh, wait, but I'm not. Right now, I'm Filipino.
I can't imagine. Like, I remember when I was a young child and I remember at some point, like, I really loved animals when I was little. And I think at one time I was like, I want to be a veterinarian. I just love animals so much. And I think that I remember being vegetarian as a kid. And
vegetarian or veterinarian?
Vegetarian, because I loved animals so much. How could I be veterinarian as a child? Like I'm the cold meds. I've weaned off of those. I know what I'm speaking.
I'm trying to trip you up.
Thanks a lot. So anyway, I wanted to be a veterinarian because I loved animals so much. And so because I loved animals, I don't even remember. I must have seen it on TV or something that like, if you love animals and you can't eat them. And so I wanted to be a vegetarian. I think I remember like making my parents buy those like, the veggie burger things.
Morningstar or whatever.
Morningstar, I think, and making them, I would just eat those instead of whatever my family was eating. Like it did not last long at all.
I can't understand
because I mean, the people who do that are amazing. I mean, that's not what you're supposed to eat. As a vegetarian, you're supposed to have a wide variety of foods, but I was also
that had all your vegetables in it.
A very picky eater.
Right.
It's like the Soylent. You just suck on your Morningstar burger. Morningstar.
Yeah,
The Soylent.
I went vegetarian for a while.
Yeah.
Just out of the blue, just did it. Not because of anything. Just did it. Didn't eat meat for quite a while.
I just broke our child's
That's all right.
thing here.
And yeah. And going back to
did your family? I'm sorry. I just have to ask. I don't know this information, so this is an honest question. Did your family go vegetarian with you, or was it just you?
I'm pretty sure they did.
You're pretty sure they did. You don't remember.
Yeah, I think we.
It must have been like a discussion that you had.
It was my previous life.
Well, yeah.
Yes, yes, I think we all were. I mean, my stepdaughters. They were kids, so they didn't really have a choice. So.
Right.
So yeah, I'm pretty sure we all did, and we just ate normal food. We didn't
normal. You just ate food without meat.
Yeah, pretty much. So,
so you didn't have any kind of protein replacement?
No, I don't think so. I mean, we might have eaten more beans and stuff like that.
Right.
But, yeah.
We did that for a short time too. When our oldest was little, we ate a lot of beans. And, yeah.
Toot toot.
It didn't. Yeah.
But back
to the book.
Well, back to the what are you?
Yeah.
Back in Buffalo, there was a similar thing. It wasn't something that I experienced, but if you lived in Buffalo years ago, like, probably 40s, 50s, 60s, maybe even into the 70s.
When you say years ago, I think like 10, maybe 20 years. You're like,
yeah, you also thought
40s.
You also said yesterday you thought the 90s were just like 10 years ago. So.
It's still in my head. The 90s were 10 years ago.
Okay.
It's really messed up.
It is. It's a while ago. But well, that's what I was telling you.
That was 2 marriages ago for you.
Yeah. Wait, that's.
I'm sorry, 3?
No,
3 marriages.
No, they were both
within the 90s. Yeah.
Anyhow, but let me finish the one story.
Okay, finish.
So people that lived in Buffalo,
correct,
it was a huge Catholic city, and they would just ask each other, "What parish are you from?" And people would know exactly what neighborhood they lived in. They didn't even have to tell them what neighborhood they lived in.
Yeah,
because sometimes there were multiple parishes in a neighborhood, and that narrowed the scope down even more.
Right, because you just went to whatever church was closest, because they're all Catholic.
For the most part,
so that's interesting.
Yeah.
But I can't imagine just going to it. I mean, I guess that's how we do schools, right? You just go to whatever school is closest to you.
Generally, yeah.
But I don't know. I mean, we're atheists. I don't. Yeah. I guess I just can't imagine living that kind of life where you just go to whatever's closest to you, and that's just what works.
Well, going to the time frame thing, we were just talking a week ago. I said I realized that Happy Days, the TV show, was on in like 1975, something like that. Well, only 20 years before that was the 50s.
Yeah.
And those people, they were in their 20s and 30s, 40s at the time. They remembered that.
Happy Days?
Well, they remember the actual time and going to the soda shops and the greasers with their leather jackets.
Because when was Happy Days was
set in the 50s.
Set in the 50s, but actually on the air
in the 1970s.
So it's no different
and
than that's why we were comparing it, because that 70s show was on in the late 90s,
early 2000s. but a lot of those like 90s shows are becoming popular again. They're remaking them and things like that.
But it's slightly different, but yeah,
it's the same kind of thing.
Yeah, and like the Drew Carey show. I mean, I hate to do the name dropping thing, but the Drew Carey show was on American House. No, but I mean, I don't want to tell everybody you should go watch the Drew Carey show, because I'm sure I haven't watched it in so many years. I'm sure there's so much homophobia and sexism and shit, and it's not worth watching again. But the ABC did this throwback. They had all the characters on the American Housewives show, because the character. See, I don't. This is why I can't make conversation. The husband.
Okay.
Her husband.
Yeah, he's a comedian.
But he was on the Drew Carey show.
Oh, that's
right. So they brought the rest. I mean, not the rest of the cast, but a chunk of the cast. Cast. Drew Carey was there. Mimi.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I don't remember her real name. And Colin. Is it Colin?
Okay, that's cool. Was it fun?
The tall guy.
Was it a fun show?
Samish. I don't know. It was okay.
Oh, okay. Well,
but I used to watch the Drew Carey show, so I kind of appreciated it in that light. But I mean, it was kind of silly. Like, I don't know. Can we spoil it? Can I spoil it? It was on a while ago.
I don't care.
Drew and Mimi fall in love. I mean, they're not their characters, right? They're playing. They're
Right.
just on the show.
Right.
But they make references, like he says something about how beautiful her eyes are, and she says, "You should see it when I have my blue eye eyeshadow on." And so it's like, oh my God, Mimi, what a character.
So I don't. Did we say this yet?
Back to the
so
book.
what happens in Malaka's book is in her life, because it's a memoir. She spent her summers in Egypt with her dad.
We said that, yeah.
But she spent the school year with her mother in California,
right?
And her extended Filipino family. So for the most part, like 3/4 of the year, she was Filipino.
Yes, because that's one thing.
And that's why they talk about the rice cooker and stuff, because they eat a lot of rice.
They do eat a lot of rice. But and the book was dedicated to mommy and daddy. That's nice. I forgot that. Okay, so the very first page is Meet the Fam.
Oh, right, yeah.
So she has mom and dad and Tate. Do you think Tate, Tito? Darren, Hala,
aunts and uncles, and cousins, and
Nane, Tito, Maro, Min is her sister. Like, she has got this just character list. I kind of love it when authors and creators do this, because it just gives you this. Like, even some of them, she has the 3 half siblings,
right.
just all together on the one one thing. But
that's the one thing. Her mother remarried a Filipino man, so her sister was 100% Filipino. So when she went to school,
she could
hang out with the Filipino kids in the Filipino group, without a problem.
Right.
But Malaka didn't have the look. She didn't look like she was Filipino, so they didn't believe that she was.
Even though most of her life was consumed with Filipino culture.
Exactly.
Everything. Yeah.
But yeah, some of this I can see. I mean, my grandparents were directly from Italy. My mother's parents, they were directly from Italy. They spoke Italian mainly when they were arguing, but they spoke English to us.
Do you have memories of those arguments?
Oh yeah.
Okay. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Well, you were 18 before your grandmother died, or somewhere
they were.
around
Yeah,
there,
but yeah.
Well, because you don't remember much of your early childhood, like birth to age. I mean, who remembers their birth?
No, I don't remember much up to 10.
To age 10-ish, yeah.
Yeah.
There's probably
there's
trauma related. But.
There's probably. But
anyway.
yeah, so I mean, it's, I could see my grandfather wanted to be American, so the immigrant thing. He wanted to be American.
Right.
His kids, his early kids, the first ones.
Yeah.
Were all extremely Italian. They spoke Italian. So when they went to school, they were sent back home because they only spoke Italian. So they realized that they had to teach English. So my mother learned English, and my grandparents, for the most part, only spoke English to her. So she could only speak broken Italian and understand most Italian, but she couldn't speak it fluently like the rest of her family.
So I don't know if you've told me that story before.
Yeah. So I mean, So
the older siblings were sent home from school because they didn't
that's what I
know
was told,
enough English.
They didn't. I don't know if they knew any English because their parents spoke Italian.
Right.
But my grandfather, his name was Gerlando, but he called himself Jerry. I mean, he wanted to be American. He tattooed an American flag on his arm. I mean, and he wanted to be American. They both became American citizens. But I mean, to him,
Well, I mean, back then, becoming an American citizen was a lot easier than it is now.
but at the same time, when you went to their house, there was a lot of Italian things there, a lot of Italian decorations.
But they also they had
food
no family around either, which is a lot different from.
Well, yeah, I didn't.
From what I remember, your grandfather's family lived like along the north. They were kind of like all over the Northeast.
They're all over. I think one of them was in Canada. One of them was in Argentina. There might have been one that lived in southern New York. But my grandmother's sister lived in the area. I remember seeing her when I was little.
Okay.
So there were other family, but it wasn't like we hung out with them like regular basis.
Whereas
her family,
Malaka's family, like they were
Filipino culture
together.
in general, you are family.
Yeah.
Your family comes first, no matter what.
Yeah.
And I have a friend who's Filipino and had trauma related to her family and had to make the decision to cut her family off, and it was a huge issue because she, that it went completely against Filipino culture. You don't do that to family. Like your family is your ride or die.
Right.
It doesn't matter what they do to you. So seeing that in the book was, it was like I completely understood it from that perspective. But also then thinking about your family, who immigrated here, and thinking about such a difference in culture, that the family, it wasn't, they all immigrated here, and I if I remember correctly, your grandfather was sent here to get away from the mafia, correct?
That's the story I was told.
Right.
I mean
who knows how true it is?
Exactly.
Right. But that was the family folklore, I guess.
And the quick version, his brother was living in Kokomo, Indiana.
Right.
And they had an illegal still in the 1920s.
To get away from them.
Yeah, they got away from the mafia. So he was running an illegal still, and it blew up. It blew up, and he ended up dying, and several other people did. And his wife was actually my grandmother. So his wife, on his deathbed, he told my grandfather to take care of his wife. So my grandfather did. He married her, and they had a couple more kids. And
so your mother is one of the younger of the kids, because
I think
the oldest of the kids are actually
I think the first two
or half siblings.
Yeah, I think the first two. I mean, there was
4 or 5 kids total. I can't remember. 5 kids total. So the first two were the
different father.
The still miners. What do you call it?
Still miners. I don't know.
Still maker?
Distillers.
The distillers. Who, and I remember your mom telling me the story about the dress. Do you remember the dress?
Oh, the dress.
When he was being pulled out of the basement or wherever it was, it had been blown up. And this, I should probably do just a quick content warning, like disgusting death mentioned. So if you have triggers around death, please turn this off or skip ahead a couple minutes. I'll let you do that right now. Okay. And so they pulled him out of the basement or wherever, the place that blew up, the distillery, and he touched her dress, and because he was still alive, and his skin came right off of his hand and onto her dress, and she held onto this dress
forever. I'm assuming my aunt has it now.
And you think still somebody has it?
Yeah, I'm sure.
Wait, which aunt would it be?
Aunt R.
Really? But she was your mother's child, but she wasn't she was your grandmother's child, but not.
Because
that
the other ones were dead. The other women, sisters, were dead. So I doubt that they got it. Anyhow.
But why wouldn't you get rid of it? You really think she would hold on to it?
Yeah, it's just
one of those things. Like, it was my mother's, and I have to hold on to it.
Anyhow, so I mean, we
have gotten so far up the book,
but I get that whole immigrant thing. I get the family thing, because we had a close family growing up too.
But you didn't. That's my point. Though. You did at times, but at various times throughout your entire life, somebody was not speaking to somebody else. And it wasn't like a day of, I'm not talking to you. It was like, you're fucking cut off. I am not speaking to you. You are the worst of the worst. I'm going to spread all these lies about you and tell everybody shitty things about you so that they all hate you too.
You're talking about yourself.
No, I'm not talking about myself. Your family did that on multiple occasions. No, how many times was your grandfather not talking to?
He didn't talk.
Or
he
his
didn't talk
own
to
kids?
his own. He didn't talk. No, my grandfather, for the most part, always did.
Oh, okay. It was your aunts not talking to each other.
Aunts didn't talk to each other. Aunt didn't talk to the grandmother. I mean, just all kinds of stupid.
Oh, the
things.
Grandmother. It was a matriarchal thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
But anyhow, Malaka wanted to be American. She wanted to be white. I mean, I'm reading something from the NPR interview.
Right.
I always wanted to eat frozen food for some reason. Like, I thought that like kids' cuisine was like the epitome of fine dining in American culture. And I remember like begging my mom, please, like instead of eating like Sinagain or like adobo for dinner, like can we just please have kid cuisine? Because it comes with the dessert.
I have to say, we were not the richest family growing up. We did not eat kid cuisine. That was not something that my family ate. But it was like this. Like, I remember going. I had a night that I went and spent with a friend, and that was like a treat that her mother had bought, and we were having. I don't even remember. I'm pretty sure it was Corey that I used to live next door to when I was 4 or 5 years old, and so her mom bought us kid cuisines, and I was like so excited.
Was this kid cuisine with dinosaur-shaped chicken nuggets?
I don't. It probably was. It probably was, but I more remember it was probably mac and cheese. Actually, it was probably mac and cheese.
Oh yeah.
I remember the brownie and the horrible mashed potatoes. Like I have to say,
that's one problem you have: mashed potatoes.
Instant mashed potatoes are the worst. Mashed potatoes. Oh, they're so gross. They're so gross. I don't get it. Anyway, so this night we went someplace. I don't remember where we were, why we were there, what we were doing, but we were at somebody else's house that I didn't know. And that was our special treat, is that we got kid cuisines. And it was probably the first time I had it. And it was disgusting. And I remember thinking, what is the big deal with this?
Well, with her, she would watch TV and she would see, white kids on TV, so she thought that's what everything was supposed to be.
Well, she probably get flooded with advertisements. I'm sure that was what it was with me too. I'm sure I saw all kinds of ads for kids cuisine,
allowances, and she asked her mother for allowance, and she said, "No, we don't do that.
We don't do that."
So another thing, she was asked, was it tough to go back and forth between two different worlds?
Mm-hmm.
And she said it was, because I think I wanted my dad to understand American subculture, and he just by the time I was 14 or 15, I remember trying to explain Blink 182 to my dad once. I was so into it. It's the coolest band.
She was a skater girl,
and he was like, okay, cool. And I was just no, it's the coolest band ever, Dad. He's like, yeah, okay, cool, yeah.
Oh my God, I remember when I.
But yes, she was. She shows. One time she goes to Egypt and she brings her skateboard and she's skateboarding, and people are like, what are you doing, man? You don't skateboard. Nobody skateboards here. And she's like, oh, I guess I can't bring both of my cultures together at any time.
Yeah,
really.
She had to compartmentalize. Yeah, absolutely.
And her dad tried to teach her certain things, like in Egypt, Muslim men are fed first before the women, and I think after dinner, Muslim men all
I would not be happy in Egypt.
Well, she said that she, as an adult, she decided
how do non-binary? When do the non-binary people eat?
She said some traditions like that she does not follow.
Right,
she's pulled some things. She's mixed food together, so
well, she married a Southern guy, so it was
an American
trying to
guy, right.
And so how do you combine? I don't know. Obviously, immigrants do it, but you have. I mean, everybody does it. I mean, you and I are both American, and we have pick and choose what traditions we follow and which ones we don't. And whatever our kids, I'm sure our kids are going to do something different from us too. It's just and we've talked about that before. We want our kids to just have a better life than we had, and if they do, then we've succeeded.
In this interview, she talked about bringing the skateboard. And he's like, are you sure you want to bring that out and skateboard around? And
her dad.
Mm-hmm. And she goes, and I did. And it was the worst decision ever, because everybody was looking at me and thought I was super weird. And I never brought my skateboard back to Egypt. So during this interview at NPR, both of her parents are participating.
Uh-huh.
And her dad doesn't remember that. She says, didn't you think I seemed like an alien to you? Did you feel like I was weird? And he just laughs. And she's like, no. And then he said, when you start wearing black and black and black and putting everything black, yes. So
that's funny. I think my parents said, I remember my parents making comments about me wearing all black too.
Mm-hmm.
It bothered them. Maybe not my dad so much, but my mom definitely.
Yeah, she said her father says, and she brings her skating board with her, and of course this was
skating. It's not a skateboard; it's a skating board.
And of course this was in Egypt. It was wow, and kids are looking at her what is this? She's coming out of the space. So I mean,
oh my God.
So yeah, so they thought she was weird in school because she didn't fit in with any culture. She goes to Egypt, she doesn't fit in. And she talks about it even as an adult because she wasn't Egyptian enough, Muslim enough,
She didn't even know what to wear. She went to a wedding there.
Wearing what she would wear to a typical wedding.
American friends of hers went to this wedding. They all knew the dances and the culture and what to wear.
Because when you are in that, when you are like, I would assume that these friends of hers had gone to Egyptian weddings, even in America. And so they still follow the same traditions, the same cultures. So they have an idea of what they're supposed to wear and what they're supposed to expect. I remember going to a wedding. My mom was friends with this Mexican family, and I went to this. I had no idea what to expect, but we went to this wedding and it was fun. And I mean, we had rice pudding, and I refused to try it because I was, not
picky. Picky.
Sure, if we're gonna be nice, I was picky, but it was still like, it was
snobby.
This fun. I was just shitty. I was a shitty kid, but it was this fun night, and I don't even remember. I think my mom worked with,
because sometimes as kids,
the bride
we're
or
just jerks.
somebody.
We're just jerks sometimes as kids. That's why.
Well, I mean, I think I had sensory issues. I still do.
Yeah, but
I think
our
a lot
kids
of
have
it
done
was
that too. I mean, we make a hamburger.
I didn't say it. I wasn't rude in front of the family or anything. It was just like my brother, hey, try this. My brother ate it.
Well, like we made hamburgers one night, and our daughter looked at it, threw a fit for 5 minutes, and then
even though
made you take it off the plate. And then after she was done, she's like, "I'm sorry, I'm done. Can I have the hamburger now?"
And she ate it.
But it was like just a snap.
I know we won't get into it.
But anyhow, so the one thing Malaka talks about is she was the weird kid at school.
Yeah.
She didn't fit in anything,
and
she didn't know what to do. But finally, she found her friends.
Yeah,
they were different. All the different kids that were just different. They didn't fit in anything else.
And
the
melting pot.
Yes, and they all became the group of friends. And when she graduated, they named her like the most unique kid.
Most unique. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, so she found her way that way.
Yeah.
Eventually.
Yeah.
And that
was like, we both have said that was kind of our, like, we were both kind of friends with the outside. I didn't really have friends so much in high school. Like, most of my friends were my brother's friends. I was just like, if my brother went out, and then I would go with him and kind of crash the party or whatever. I mean, it wasn't a party. I never went to a party with my brother. But like, he would go out to Sherry's or Denny's, one of those 24-hour places with his friends, and I would just go along with him. And I'm sure all of his friends probably thought, I know for sure one of his friends really didn't like me because I would say, I think because I cussed too much, and she didn't. She was a very Christian.
You cussed too much?
I cussed too much. She was very Christian. And she didn't like it.
Anyhow,
that's how I felt about it. Too. And especially because we found out later that she was extremely homophobic, and so really I think she keyed my brother's car or something later on.
Really?
Yeah, when they were adults. Something happened. As an adult, she
Christians are.
Did she key it, or did she? Maybe she not crashed into, but like scraped along the side of it or something. It was something to do. No, I don't know necessarily. If it was keyed, it was certainly on purpose. But maybe my memory is foggy. I'll have to reach out to Michael and ask him, because there was something. She hit his car and refused to pay for it. That might be it. She hit the car and refused to pay for it. That may be what it was. Yeah, she slapped it with her hand, and she has this,
very hard hand.
The hard Christian hand.
Dominatrix.
No, definitely not with her. Christian.
See, that's the thing. Has she been divorced yet?
I have no idea. I don't know that she's ever been married or.
Yeah.
Anything.
Anyhow,
what is that?
Anyhow,
back to the book.
But
it's like the 5th time I said it.
The book is cute.
Yeah, I like it.
It's a good story. It goes up to her adulthood when she meets her husband and tries to mesh their culture too.
I do kind of like how she gives us a taste into the cultures, and it's not a lot of taste into, but she even has these flashcards. It's kind of
that
cute.
Made for
she
her
has
husband
these flashcards that she for learning the language, and she has this fashion thing. She actually has pages that you're supposed to cut out. We didn't do it, but
she's got a copy of one of her zines that she made when she was younger.
Yeah, it's cool. I like it.
No, it's fun.
Yeah, I can't find it right now to look at it, of course, but
yeah. So it's cool, and
The Flash.
Next week, we're going to have another good book. Laura Dean keeps breaking up with me.
I've started reading this and I really love it.
We're also going to be...
it's just queer books. I'm just really into them.
But we're also going to... I'm not sure how we're going to do it yet. In a few weeks, we're going to do Ben Passmore's Your Black Friend. It's only like 8 pages, but I think it's an important book. I thought it was longer.
Honestly, we could probably spend a whole episode on it, not just talking about the book, but the stuff going around it. No, you don't think so?
We could. I don't know if we should, but we could.
I almost wonder if maybe we should make it a bonus. No, I don't want to do a bonus episode with it. I think it needs to be out there.
Yeah, we'll see. Anyhow, short.
Do you
run,
like how we make the decisions while we're on the air?
Yeah, it's all right. Don't forget, if you're in the Seattle area, short run,
free admission.
It's free. I don't think we
free admission. Yes,
November 9th.
Come and enjoy the show.
Yes, it's at Fisher Pavilion.
Fisher Pavilion in Seattle. Seattle Center.
Yeah. You could see the Key Arena being remodeled for the upcoming hockey team.
Yeah, do they have the little holes drilled in the things so you can see?
Yeah, is that what they're for?
I don't think so.
Okay.
We drove by it the one day though, and you could it was just the chain link fence, and we could see inside of it. So cool looking. I don't know why construction is so much fun to look at.
It is. I know. I'm still enamored. I always look at the cranes and everything. Everything.
Yeah, and they're always in Seattle.
Somebody had a TikTok video on
don't mention TikTok.
I know it's a Chinese thing, and there's a security problem and all kinds of stuff. Anyhow, but anyhow,
I'm seriously concerned about our child. Like, I have no idea. If my parents knew anything about the internet, they probably never would have let us on. And I know that the internet goes so far beyond. Like, all I can do is talk to my kid about the dangers that are out there and how to best protect them. But I don't think that we can even do it. Like, I don't even know how far I have to go to keep my kid safe. It's really hard.
Yeah.
I don't let my kid watch TikTok. But they have friends who watch it.
They have friends who do a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
And they play a game, and I asked them, I said, is there a chat in there? And they're like, yeah. I'm like, okay.
But I don't do it.
Still have to go on there and make sure we can.
That's exactly what I would probably tell my parents.
Yeah, we have to disable it.
Because
we're afraid they're just a little naive. They're very naive.
No, they're very naive, and they don't like. I remember being terrified of breaking rules growing up, and so I know that I would never give it. I was nervous to even tell what state I lived in, like that, and that's a huge like. Washington is
even
a huge
as an
state.
adult. When I chatted, I usually didn't like to tell people that.
Yeah, exactly. See, I had that fear. I just was that, but I don't. I mean, honestly, I could see them giving out our home address.
So one time,
or phone number.
One time back in the day, we all had CB radios, which were.
Who's we all?
Me and all my friends.
What are you shushing me for?
Me and all my friends.
Don't put information out there if you don't.
Me and all my friends.
No.
All my friends, we had them. So we used to it was just a fun thing. Everybody had them in the car, and we would talk to each other.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
So anyhow, my friend Gil had a base station in their house.
Wait, a what?
It was a base station. It was
base?
Yeah, so they could sit in their house and do it. Most of the CBs were usually mobile in the car.
Vehicles, yeah.
So they could sit, and his sister used to have friends and talk, and he would do it sometimes too.
Oh my
so one
God.
time I'm out.
But you're talking to like truckers.
Yeah, but you can talk to other people too. There were other people that talked. There were like 19 channels or something. So there were channels that you could just hang out and chat on. So one time I'm with Gil. And
oh my God, it's like the first internet.
And we were and chat stuff. And we were talking to somebody, and I don't know what we were doing, but somehow, because it was distance, you can only go so far. Your voice
right. So they had to be,
far.
within a certain amount of miles
to catch. Yes. And we were chatting with someone, and we were kind of being jerky, and they were able to trace our signal, and they were able to come and I think they parked right next to us or right behind us. And we're like, oh, fuck. Yeah. Cause they were able to.
What did you say? What were they? They tracked you down. What were you saying to them? No, you remember.
No,
you just don't want to put it out there.
I don't remember.
This is a story you have never told me.
Oh, yeah.
I had no idea.
I know you find out a lot of stories on the show. anyhow, I was their American Dream by Malaka Gharib.
Check it out.
Until next time,
I'm Parker.
And I'm Mike. And this is the Graphic Novel Podcast.
thanks for listening. If you enjoy listening to our podcast, make sure that you like, share, give us a great rating. We love to hear back. You can find us on Twitter at Graphic Novel Pod, or you can check out our Instagram at Graphic Novel Podcast.
Or you can visit our website. We got a brand new website. It is graphicnovelpodcast.com. Or you can send us a comment or question or any kind of thing like that.
Yeah, we love hearing from our listeners.
Request for a book to be reviewed or anything like that to graphicnovelpodcast@gmail.com. And biggest thing, if you're listening to the podcast and you like it, visit your favorite podcast distribution host like iTunes or whatever, and give us a review. Give us Stitcher, Breaker, all them, and give us a review and stars, because that's.
Hey, if you give us 5 stars in a review, we may read it on there.
Yes, we will definitely, and that will help us expand the number of people listening to our show.
That's the best way that we can share our show is by our listeners.
That's right. So thanks for listening again this week.